It's Labor Day Monday, which means I have the day off, and that always means I can collage. So thanks for joining me. I was playing at my desk last night with no intention of making a collage, but I start cutting and things start happening. I started cutting out small pieces. This is from a stamp. So I'm decimating the stamp collection that my dear editor allows me to use for ephemera. And I'm really drawn to the color green. I don't normally work with green in my artwork, and I'm not sure why. I usually am drawn towards blues and purples. This one, for some reason, green fell into my lap, quite by accident, probably because I was cleaning and something like this happened. I was like, whoa, that looks great. So I think that's the direction we're going into. It's going to be because that's basically what I cut out. All sorts of green ephemera. So I apologize to all of you who enjoy watching me pick through the ephemera. It's already been cut. It's already been spliced and taken out. And again, whether or not I'm going to be using all of this doesn't matter. It's cut. It's ready to go. I have plenty, at least I think I do, plenty to choose from. Her dress space is pretty extensive. This is probably not going to make an appearance, although I do like contrast. Orange, red, purple, that will all contrast nicely with green, but it's whether or not it makes it into her dress, it probably will at some level. There's obviously some wonderful contrast here. Green is dominant, but you have oranges, purples, whites. So I'm also playing with some leftover wine labels. This is not a wine label collage. I want to make another one again soon, but I don't have enough really to do that. So we're just going to pick out these stars again. I really love the way they look. And I'm hoping to use this guy, this hand. I really wanted to use it in the last collage I did. And I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, there's getting to be too many now. You guys are giving me too much to do, and I'm having too much fun making collage because that is the way that I relax. May seem like a lot of work, but in truth, this is how I unwind, and I think many of you can relate to that. So I have everything off to the side here. Possible pieces of ephemera. Now, the thing that's different with this is we have a template, but it's flimsy. And I need to be careful. So my thinking is that I grab a good piece of maybe watercolor paper and build the collage that way. I'm not sure, because watercolor paper is very thick. If I want it, when I come back around and cut the template out, that might be a problem. I was actually saving this for when I decided to start doing jelly printing. I don't know when that's going to be. I do want to do jelly printing and incorporate it in collage somehow, but not this moment. So I had this paper ready to go. I'm not going to glue her on just yet, but I'm going to build the collage upward and decide where I want certain pieces to go. So in looking at her and the beginning of her dress, I was very drawn to this wonderful Van Gogh painting in a magazine, and this is how it all started. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. So I'm going to build a base that way, and that means I should cut this part that I definitely want for the first portion of the collage. I'm going to hang on to this. I like hanging on to other elements of collage, even if I think I'm not going to use it, because sometimes I wanted to come back around and bridge the collage together, maybe put it into another portion of her dress, maybe at the bottom, and it will all relate or not, or I'll just hang on to it for something else. So I'm cutting out just the portion that I want and I'll probably affix it to this watercolor paper, which is something I don't normally do very much anymore. Most of you know I like using the packing tape. So the exact space where I want to put her and this green paper, it doesn't really matter too much, but I just need to affix it to the paper. I mean, what I could do, because I'm thinking as I affix it to the paper, there's an issue with glue. It shouldn't be too much as long as I don't get crazy with the glue. But what I could do, I can tape this. I can totally tape this for a start. And I think I will, because I do have, like, glue makes things look a little wrinkly, and that bugs me at times. So I still have some tape. I think I have some tape. I have some tape off to the side here on my little studio desk. And let's just go ahead and get started. And I'm going to put the tape there. Not a lot, just a little bit, so it's fixed. And I can work from here. I have some stamps that I was playing with. Like I said, I was doing some real delicate cutting last night. So for me, a good time, this is how wild I get, guys. A good time is to sit and put on like a documentary in the background as I'm doing very delicate cutting. I was cutting stamps last night, so that's my idea of a good time. That's my idea of relaxing. So I was cutting these guys. These were all, this was a stamp, and very green. It were these circular stamps. I had another one. I might cut out that butterfly all the way, even though the butterfly itself is not green, the area around the butterfly is. So you're going to have hints of green within this butterfly. This butterfly will live well in a new green environment if I take it out of the stamp background. Here we are. Here's a piece I was looking for. So it was this little piece. And I want to place them, they're green, but it's off green for both of them, and very similar. So I want to put them here. These I will have to glue on. So I'm going to go ahead and start building a little bit and see where green takes me. It looks like I'm going to be doing a lot of taping in this collage, and that's fine with me. I prefer it now. The glue works well with these stamps. This was a stamp, and of course these two pieces were stamps. I did have to pull up a couple of pieces with tape, but fortunately I just put them down and I changed my mind. So with packing tape, you have a little bit of time, not very much. Mod Podge is a lot more forgiving. Now, the reason I pulled it up and switched things around, because I was going to put this dark green on dark green, the dark green of this leaf, which is kind of a little bit of a focal point, not the focal point, but it's a beautiful illustration, and I really wanted to pop out. It doesn't pop out with this darker green area of this garden, and I want some focus to be on it, so it pops out way better with this lighter area of green. So I needed to switch that around because I have this eye looking in, and I'd like the eye to be central. It's not really a focal point. I mean, she is the focal point, but there can be more than one focal point. Oops, I'm getting stuck there. Oh, I gotta be careful. There can be more than one focal point in a collage. There's just, obviously, they're secondary and there are main focal points. So that's just something I want to bear in mind. And I want this eye to kind of be in the crosshairs. The tape is still on there, so I should just be able to place it down. Yeah. And that's the thing I like about the packing tape, because it does allow for a nice flat, clean surface, and you don't have to deal with the dampness of the adhesive. I'm just going to trim around this for a little bit. And I'm kind of cheating here. I'm kind of plagiarizing myself. I did the same type of imagery in a piece called Town Square Voyeur. I didn't do a video of the creation of that collage. I think it was almost the same model too. So I'm going to situate it right here. I like the way that looks, again, like a crosshair going on. We can still see our wonderful vintage stamp. I can also decide whether or not I want to tuck this in or out. Well, I can't because I glued it down. But again, glue is a lot more forgiving. I'm going to just gently peel it up because I may want that leaf to overlap her arm. Is that going to work? You really have to be careful here because things will rip. It's glued on there pretty good. Okay. And I damaged the Van Gogh paper. Yeah, you know what? I want the leaf to overlap her arm. I'll take care of that in a little bit, probably with the final touches when we're finishing up here. So let's go ahead and situate this here and get back to time lapse. I have several large pieces of green going on, so those are not focal points, but they're going to act something of a background for this piece. And that way we don't have any gaps, little empty spots going on. This was actually part of this piece, this original image. And I love how the purple is captured here, so I might be putting it back on. But it's probably going to get covered up by other ephemera. The nice part, the fun part about this particular collage that I'm doing is I can put on several smaller elements and make it very interesting and hopefully not too busy. Also, the power of 3. As you can see here, this was a composition from another magazine, and I should say the power of the odd number, not 3. Because there's 4 apples here, but then you also have this piece, and they all belong together, and they work well because we have 5, an odd number, in the imagery, so I might be using that. I also went ahead and tried to abide by the rule by cutting out these yummy looking, they look like macaroons or dumplings of some sort. They're green, so I cut them out, and I have several other ones I can pull from. Oh, here was the other piece. So I have these 2 pieces plus the portion of another one. I like to use 3 in my collages. I try to stay with that odd number because it seems to work for me. I know other artists, maybe they can manipulate that, but I feel safe when I use odd numbers. So here's my butterfly belt. I think I want to put that up here, and it kind of blends well with the purple here. I want to be cognizant of that. Again, we got our large green swatches. This was from some Sunset magazine, again from the vintage from the 70s or 80s. So I'm just sort of placing things around. Now remember, we still have pieces from our Van Gogh. That might go well here as a background. Again, not a focal point, but as a background. And it's reminiscent of the top of her dress. That's what I was going for. That's what I wanted to do. We have butterflies here. I may want to put the butterfly here. I think that might be a really good choice. And I can keep the butterfly on the green background. That looks fine. I don't really have to cut it out. I love this image. I think it's a Romanian stamp. She's wearing a green bathing suit. It's super cool. The only thing that won't be super cool is cutting it out if I decide to use it because I don't want the background. Maybe having her on a top of one of these apples ready to leap in. So we're going to continue on. I'm going to go back to time lapse and get these backgrounds squared away. Stamps are always so much fun to cut. I do use my X-Acto knife, but I really like using the scissors. Stamps are sturdy. They are made, I think they're made of cotton like money is, so they can withstand being in transient and having the adhesive on it so they stay to the letters. Anyway, we cut our swimmer out. I still have a couple of areas that could probably use a little trimming. She was on a brown background, if you can recall. I'm just going to use my scissors on this one. It's very tiny. And actually, these big scissors work pretty good for these small areas for me anyway. And I prefer using my scissors when I work with vintage material. I found with the X-Acto knife, things get scrunched up and I get frustrated. I am looking to place her on a busy background because she's not busy. She's a wonderful contrast, and I think she'll go good here on this map on top of the apples I thought about originally. I also thought about here. She's tiny. I don't want to lose her. I want to get her glued on pretty quick here. Not sure. I think she'll go good around here because you can see her. And she kind of disappears a little bit on the map, but I think we're okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'm actually getting confused with this background. It's sprinklers on a dark green background, and I keep thinking it's my mat. So I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't cover this space. I'm like, it's covered. So I'm going to go ahead and glue my diver on. Get her on there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stamps working in this collage. Stamps, they're illustrations. They add such character to a collage. I like using them, and then I try to use them sparingly just because I don't want to deviate from the focal point. I think in this case we should be okay for focal point. It's pretty obvious that our girl in her dress, she is our focal point. She also, now that I have it on my mind, she also has an interesting little backstory here, our girl. She's holding, it's a nail polish bottle, but I'm going to give her something else to hold. I'm going to give her a pretty flower to hold. This also was a stamp. So we have 6 stamps in this collection. I'm just going to add just a little bit of glue, not too much. It was very delicate cutting. I think I did use a lot with my X-Acto knife on here. It looks like a poinsettia or a hibiscus. And I'm just going to, I cut her fingers to accommodate her new flower. Get it on there. Yeah, I like the way that looks a lot more. That makes me happy. So, oh, I forgot one spot here at the bottom was our additional butterfly arrangement. I just had it taped here with some drafting tape. I'm just going to glue it on. I'm tucking it behind the apple. Keeps wanting to come loose. The other thing I like about the packing tape is it allows me to do this tucking in that I really love doing with collage. It's just allows me a little bit more freedom, leeway. So I can pretty much maybe get rid of this border. I've been keeping it because it just keeps me in tune with what it is I need to do. Because I'm going to be cutting this out just like it was in the magazine. So I have another stamp. I really wanted to use this one because of the shape here, like the diamond type of shape. We have text in this collage, but I want to minimize it as much as possible. Just a personal preference. Because text is not the focal point. I don't really mind if people want to read it. That might go good about here, maybe. I don't want it too close to another stamp. I don't know why that's kind of throwing me off right now. Maybe something like that. Can I tuck it in here? I don't want to do that. That looks pretty good. Kind of hard to see my girl, isn't it? Yeah, she's a little tough to see. You can barely see her. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that now. What's this? Mod Podge again, it's pretty user-friendly. I think I'll just leave it alone. I'm going to leave that alone. I also was liking this stamp, a different shade of green, which kind of mimics this. Might go good. Again, text, but it's not, it looks like a Siluric text. So it might just be a nice little juxtaposition there. And though this area is starting to feel a little tired, a little bare. I could put this stamp here, but then we have another stamp here. It's probably not such a big deal. Just thinking out loud for all of you. Now there is text I think I want to put on here because it's going to be the name of this collage, which is Greener Pastures. So text isn't a, it's not a terrible thing. Just take this off. It was the sprinkler, and it was related to this background. I think I like the way this looks here. It's like offering a nice little alternative to what's going on. I was thinking of something like this. Maybe. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on too, as well as the stamp. I think I'm coming to my conclusions here. I'm finishing up. Feels like it is. And then it'll be about cutting. Let's see. Snap on some glue. Let's tuck it in just a little bit behind the apple. I'm just going to go ahead and put my Greener Pastures. I like that here. Hopefully I like it because I'm kind of gluing it down, and yes, there's time to move, but I'd rather not if I can help it. Do I want it here? But it's going to get cut off. I don't want to do that. Just thinking something along the lines. See, it looks so much like that green. The background for the word pastures and this green, they probably were related. They probably came from the same page. But I don't know if I want that. Could go here. I mean, it's not such a big deal. I could put something else there. I don't know what. I don't know. Put it here, maybe. Kind of like that because it draws us back to the eye, which is definitely a focal point. Is it the focal point for the piece? It could be. What did I do here? I don't know. My focal point changed in the middle of the collage, towards the end of the collage. This isn't the middle. This is coming to the conclusion. Yeah, because this is the title of the collage, and may as well, maybe it's not the most successful composition, but it's a composition, all right. You know what? Let's just do it. It's a collage, and if it's not a fail, but it's definitely questionable about focal point and composition. I don't know. If you feel otherwise, let me know in the comments. I appreciate the feedback. You guys give me really good feedback, and I learn from you guys too. Okay, now does it feel unbalanced? You know what I could do is I can cut her out and decide from there. I can always add on to this. I have plenty of ephemera still lurking around my messy desk, as long as my little critic doesn't come up and mess everything up, which he very well could regardless. Might do something, I don't know. I cut out these diamonds. They were from a Tiffany ad. In fact, here's the background so you can have reference. So it's not quite green, but it's definitely a teal, greenish blue. And I cut them out alone because they have those greenish tinges to them. And I thought it might be interesting in this piece. And I could scatter them around. I love circles, but I don't know if I want to keep doing that. I may want to just not do that. So I'm going to go back to Timelapse, and I'm going to cut her out. And I'm going to see if this hand will have a hand in this collage. See what I did there? I'm here all week, guys. So some final touches. I'm not going to have a white background. What I wanted to do was show this on a darker background. What I wanted to do was have this hand like this. And this will probably be a piece that is going to be, it's going to have a photoshopped background. And what I mean by that is just a solid pastel color. I think it'll, because there's so much going on, I don't really want to detract from what we did here, all this hard work. So I'm going to definitely play with colors. Do I want this? You know what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to scan the hand into my computer, and when I'm working Photoshop, maybe see if it, I kind of like the way it looks. I think it gives something to the piece. So you guys will decide for me. Actually, well, you'll see the final image and what I decided, and please let me know in the comments if you think the hand should go, if you think it's too busy, if you think we need to add a little bit more bling. We can always do that. I can always come back in and add a little bit more bling. See, here I go. And even with like these little diamonds, I want to keep it odd. I'm not going to do that. Cover up his eye. I can't do that. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. That's not terrible. I'm just going to do it. And that'll be it. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining me.